Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the MJ sector. So certainly notable action today, and we're going to kick it off with TLRY. First, I'm going to talk about what happened as far as time frame and my observations today, as it definitely stood out as something is up. So we had Arlene, who is our wonderful member who posts all the news for all stocks every morning, and she came across the news that TLRY, there were merger and acquisition rumors. No other details aside from that. So that means nothing to me. I completely ignore that news. Yeah, great, whatever. Because the price action didn't show me anything in terms of it being meaningful. We're still below the low of Friday. We're still not seeing any kind of action, whatever. Then at 11:45 a.m. Eastern, I get alerts. I get Fidelity telling me unusual call volume in ACB, directionally bullish. Unusual call volume in TLRY, directionally bullish. Okay, that starts to stand out. There's some bullish bets being made. Then, at 2 p.m. Eastern on all of the major names, you look on the 5-minute time frame, and at 2 p.m. triggered a massive amount of bull volume coming in. Look at the volume on the 5-minute time frame. This is TLRY. This is the entire day of trading action. This is a massive spike in volume. The timing of the day matters. 2 p.m. Eastern, in the middle of the afternoon, heading into the close, a huge surge. If it was only one individual name, wouldn't really be as notable to me. But you look at CGC on the 5-minute time frame, 2 p.m. Eastern, volume starts pouring in. And when I mean pouring in, I mean a huge difference to what we were seeing to start the day. And then it happens on all individual names. So that tells us, okay, something is up. And I now believe those rumors much more than I would without the volume and the price action. The volume and the price action is the prove it for me. So whether this ends up being something or nothing, that remains to be seen. But the notable short-term volume was enough for me to say, okay, we've seen moves like this and volume like this before, but it's on oversold bounces, meaning we dump 4% and then we bounce 2 or 3% and there's some solid volume behind it. But when's the last time we've been trading sideways and then the bulls show up with a huge volume surge and the entire sector as a whole runs into the end of the day? When's the last time that happened? I can't answer that question, but it's been a long time. So it stood out very notable to me, and so I instantly just started buying some positions. Reason being, this is unusual. It absolutely stands out to me in the short term. I am absolutely remaining skeptical of the bulls on the longer term time frames. Tomorrow we have to see a green day. We have to see follow through. If we don't, that's a big red flag. And I will very quickly cut the shares that I bought today, because it will show me a lack of follow through, and it will show me that there is the possibility that this is just a rumor. Could this just be a group running things? Yes, absolutely. This could be a made up rumor, but there's a couple points. Number one, the dollar volume. You cannot fake that dollar volume, and it's very, very significant. If we're just looking at CGC, end of the day, dollar volume, here it is on the, let's just look at the hourly time frame. So the last 2 hours of trading, we're talking 2.2 million. We're talking $60 million roughly. And TLRY, the last 2 hours of trading, we are talking a lot. 60 million. Again, more than that. So just two names. And we could go through and add up all the math in terms of ACB, APHA, CRON. And you're probably going to be looking at the last 2 hours of trading, the major 5 sector names seeing a surge of $250 to $300 million. So again, you can't just make that up, and you can't just be a small group and pump that kind of dollar volume in. So something is up in my opinion. And again, I'm not going to be overly aggressive and just going all in on a rumor, but you better believe that I'm going to establish positions based on the price action and the dollar volume, not based on the rumor. So I entered APHA. Why did I choose APHA? As I've been talking about the last 2 weeks, the weekly time frame is more advanced. VFF and APHA have a more advanced weekly time frame than any of the other Canadian MJ names. They've already bounced for a weekly lower high. APHA did it on its earnings, And now we're looking for a weekly trend change to take place. So that was enough of a reason for me to choose APHA for that weekly higher low to hopefully be set. Keeping in mind, big picture, we're looking for monthly higher lows to be set in a lot of names. And if this is our monthly higher low on APHA, and we do see the shift in sentiment into the fall, then we're going to be looking for a monthly lower high somewhere in the $8 to $9 range. And I like that possibility for reward. So again, that's looking bigger picture, and that's looking far out. But just into the short term, a daily trend change, if we can get over 653, which we did, but only by a penny. But if we can clear 654 and 680 in the next 2 days, that's going to be a meaningful shift on the daily. That's going to be our weekly higher low being established. And that's going to be the bulls attempting a weekly trend change, which again is more advanced than any other Canadian MJ name trying to change its weekly trend aside from maybe VFF out of the major market cap names in the Canadian MJ space. There was also speculation maybe this is the reaction to the documentary on CNBC coming tomorrow. That is focused on US MJ, and the Canadian MJ is where we saw all this volume at the end of the day at 2 p.m. Eastern. I did grab an OH position. We'll talk about that when I get there. It was the only red name on my screen aside from IAN, but we'll wait till we get to the US side of things before I talk about that. So tomorrow, prove it, bulls. Get follow through. See a green day. Best case scenario, and something that we have not seen in a very long time. 2 green days in a row. Increasing bull volume tomorrow. If you give me increasing bull volume in the major Canadian MJ names, we can say, yep, that confirms that this is different than anything we've seen in the near term recent action, and it is notable. If we're red tomorrow, same old, short term move, no follow through, daily downtrend, bulls not proving anything. So again, I'm putting myself in a position where I can benefit if we do get follow through, and I will be quick to bail if we do not get that follow through. I'm not going to sit here and start holding bags hoping for follow through if we don't see it. Another point someone just made in the chat room, which is a good point that I want to echo. And let's see if I can find out who it is to give proper. I'm not going to be able to, but their point was everybody on Reddit and social media is very skeptical Fed. So there's a lot of skepticism about a potential TLRY deal on Reddit. And I think especially after so much downside action in the sector, I actually take this as a good sign. It means the move today wasn't retail FOMO. I absolutely agree with that. If social media is extremely skeptical of this and social media was not rushing in and saying this is the bottom and we're getting in because of this volume, that tells me it's big money that's doing this behind the scenes and not retail FOMO. And that's another possible benefit. So I would say we're going to get some clarity in the short-term action for the rest of the week as to whether or not there's anything behind this. And again, very easily we'll cut positions if we don't see follow through. So short term, let's look at our regular technical analysis for individual names. TLRY, huge move. Daily resistance, 3240 is a key level from here. Keeping in mind that to change daily trends, bull moves are great. And this is a big bull volume bull move, but we need a clear daily higher low and higher high to change the trend. And that's not going to happen anytime soon. And it may even take into next week before that can develop and play out. So short-term resistance will be 3240, and the hourly consolidation is taking place here in extended hours. So as we head into tomorrow, bulls will need to break 31 first thing for continuation, and we'll have an hourly support level established from this extended hours trading, which the bulls will hope is the hourly high or low, and we'll have to break the highs of today, tomorrow in the first half hour of trading if we're going to have conviction and follow through. CGC broke the triple top of 24.75. It failed its initial attempt, but it broke its second attempt. 25, still psychological resistance, and then the daily exponential resistance is still there. So again, this is why I'm remaining skeptical. The burden of proof is absolutely on the bulls, and this daily time frame is proving nothing to me. The only thing that's been proven with CGC is a 4-hour trend change and an end of the day bull run on significant volume. But other than that, this daily time frame is not going to prove anything to me until we clearly change the trend. And you might say, well, wasn't this a trend change with a little higher low and higher high? I would call that a trend change of the very weak variety with very little time in between, very little space. When I see a trend change, I want that. I want clarity, clear pivot points. I don't want to see just a little dinky 2-day little higher low, higher high. So I wouldn't argue with someone too long. If they're trying to tell me that's a daily trend change, I would just label it one of the weaker daily trend changes that you could possibly see. Daily exponential resistance, I have a lot of proving that I need to see from here. But as far as short-term resistance, 25, 25.28, 25.47 are the first three little resistance levels to be watching. And on the hourly time frame, anything above 23.73 will be an hourly higher low. Cron also broke the high of its little bounce attempt from last week, 11.35. Next resistance after 11.40 is 11.85. Same thing, clear daily lower highs, clear exponential resistances. Give me a green day and increasing bull volume, and it will stand out. If we don't, it won't. APHA. So daily time frame needs a more convincing break over 654, and then we've got 680, and we're trying to shift this momentum and give ourselves the weekly higher low and see the potential of the weekly trend change into September, October if we can get over 760. Again, still a long road ahead. At this point, that would require about a 18 to 19% move. So it's not going to be easy, but that is the best case scenario for the bulls at this point. And I'm going to give myself some potential exposure. My position is at 635. So as soon as I saw the volume coming in, I made my purchase right here when the 5-minute bull flag was confirmed. And now I have enough space to be comfortable where I could potentially set a stop loss at break even. We'll see where we open pre-market tomorrow. But if I were to set a stop loss at break even, that would mean that we gave back a significant amount of that move. And if I were to get stopped out at 635, that would mean that we are over 3% from the high of today. And that wouldn't be ideal. So I haven't decided yet where I will place my stop from here. I may keep it down on the daily time frame below the low of today of 614. All depends on pre-market tomorrow and what the bulls can do in the first half hour of trading. ACB also broke its high of the weak bounce attempt from last week. Short-term resistance is 586. Daily exponential resistance. A lot of proving still needed, but big picture, monthly higher low is looking to form compared to 458. And we need a daily and a weekly trend change before we're confident. But just knowing that that is the bigger picture is another reason why I am looking to enter the possibility of the shift for monthly higher lows. Again, we've had a few little fake outs in the past. We have not had any daily trend changes leading to any significant fake outs. So if we don't get daily trend changes in the first couple weeks of September, it's back to business as usual with the bears in full control. Already did Cron. OGI, honestly, there's nothing standing out to me on OGI. Didn't break the high of the bounce from last week as everybody else did. So that's a red flag. Not saying it won't, but just the fact that it didn't is clearly a lack of strength. 444 is short-term resistance. Daily exponential resistance after that. Hexo is a much more significant bounce. 373 support did break by 2 pennies. You could consider that a double bottom. 495 is now the most important resistance level. And as far as short-term resistance, there's other levels. 460 is a level. We need the clear daily trend change with a higher low. Wherever we top out, higher low and higher high is needed. And losing the hourly uptrend will indicate daily lower highs have been set. And Hexo, there's that bull volume that came in. Anything above 399 is a higher low on the hourly for Hexo. OGI, let's see if we saw the volume on the hourly. It was there. It was just weaker compared to other names. T-God, follow through. So again, 3 days ago, T-God stood out as saying, okay, it's seeing more bullish action than other names in the sector. I like this daily bounce right near support, and it's done nothing but follow through beautifully at this point. 369 is resistance, and if 369 were to break, we are looking up at 377, and that would be a weekly change of trend, higher low, and trying to get the break of 369. So VFF, T-God, and APHA are standing out because their weekly chart for the trend change attempt is more developed. VFF, so trying to break the high of the bounce from last week, 1085 and 1088 is a double top. We could not break that level, so definitely one of the weaker names at this point comparatively. If we do break it, we're looking at 11 psychological. I personally would still consider anything under 1322 a daily lower high, because every single day from that point was a lower high 9 days in a row. And we're just now breaking that. So anything under that level is just a pivot point of a lower high in my opinion. Weekly time frame, more developed for the potential of a trend change, having already bounced and consolidated, where all the other names aside from APHA and TGOD haven't even bounced on the weekly time frame yet, let alone bounced and consolidated. So keeping a close eye on VFF, but all the way up at 1460 is the level the bulls have to get back to. That's a long ways away. Labs, solid bounce taking place. Still need the daily trend change. Short-term resistance is 528. Need the higher low and higher high on the daily. When we lose the hourly uptrend, that's the indication this daily bounce has topped out for now, and it's then up to the bulls to form the daily higher low to give the possibility of the daily trend change. So now onto the USMJ sector. Why did I buy OH in response to the bullish action in the Canadian MJ space? We saw bullish action in the USMJ space to start the morning. Some individual names reacted to news. Curaleaf had a big day, up 9%. We had TRUL up 5 or 6% for a good chunk of today. So there was strength in the USMJ sector before the Canadian MJ sector this morning, and just wanted to grab a laggard in case we did see this action trickle over into the USMJ space. I like the overhanging potential positive news for the DOJ announcing approval of the deal. That's always out there. Again, I wouldn't be anticipating it for a short-term trade, but it would be a bonus if that were to happen. And the other reason was it was red. IAN and OH were the only red names on my screen in the MJ sector. IAN is very range bound on the daily time frame, so I didn't choose IAN. I chose OH, got in at, it's the US ticker, so I got in at 550s, and it's so thinly traded. I mean, I was looking for a position on OH, which is half of my position size on APHA, and which is a quarter of the position size that I comfortably take on CGC often. And I had to walk up because I got filled for a third of it, and then there was nobody filling my bids, and I got filled for another third of it. So again, so thinly traded, but ended up with that position that's now comfortably up 5% or so. So again, if we get no follow through, I will bail on these positions, at worst case being a small loss. I think those are the reasons why I entered. Also the documentary, the CNBC coverage with potential exposure to the USMJ names Wednesday night. That was just a little added bonus as well. So Curaleaf, big day today. Inside bar bull break at 956 and big follow through. So now we're looking up at 1080 and 1103. This is a very significant move, and the weekly time frame can't change the trend with a higher low and higher high because we broke 802. But if we break 1103, it's a very clear shift in weekly momentum, and it's our monthly higher low being established. So we're very overextended on the daily time frame. These bounces in the USMJ space happen so quickly, where in just 4 days we're up 30% plus. When we lose the hourly uptrend, which currently has support at 988, if we fail 1033 breaking and lose 988 support tomorrow, we will be looking at a daily inside bar forming, and we'll have to form a daily higher low, keeping in mind what happened last time we saw a 30% move. We didn't change the daily trend, and we haven't changed the daily trend yet. So again, be skeptical. We have to remain skeptical of the bulls until they can show us a clear higher low and higher high follow through. TRUL, I don't consider this a daily trend change. Again, very little stutter step before continuation. It's not a clear pivot point. Key resistance is 1145. If we cannot break 1145, watching for the potential of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. But it's all about 1145 in the short term, as the bulls are attempting to bounce from the low with daily exponential resistance still proving left to do. CWeb, support is 2159. The bulls need to break 2381 to shift the daily momentum, which would give us the weekly higher low. But have to see that break of 2381. IAN, I don't care what IAN is doing as long as it's in between 312 and 345. Until we see a break of either 312 or 345, I could care less what IAN is doing. So it closed at the high of the day, but it doesn't mean anything if we can't break 345. MedMen still within its equilibrium. Anything under 284 is a lower high. And key support now on the daily is 253. So low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low. Anything under 284 is just a lower high in this tightening daily range. Looking for a break probably next week, as we only have 3 trading days left this week. So OH, strong close. We did break resistance, which makes me even more comfortable over 769. Closed at the high of the day, increasing bull volume. It's just 780 and 801 to get over for this weekly shift. Again, it's not a clear pivot point. It's not my ideal kind of trend change, but at this point on the weekly time frame in the MJ sector, you better believe we'll take it. Higher low at 673, and if we can break 801, that will be a higher high. And again, what's the monthly time frame doing? It's looking for a higher low to form. Inside bar last month, break that inside bar bullish, and the monthly higher low will be established. HARV, again, another name which just so quietly 4 bounce days, 5 bounce days, and we're up 30+%. Or just under 30%. But the bulls now have a lot of space where they can change this daily trend with a higher low and higher high whenever we top out. No indication of topping out at this point on the hourly time frame. Anything above the low of today is an hourly higher low. And when we lose the hourly uptrend, we look for the daily higher low to be established. Resistance is 626 and 7 psychological, as the bulls are attempting to defend the all-time low and trying to bounce on the monthly, where we would absolutely be looking for a lower high. But let's just say, for the sake of fun, that this is our monthly higher low. I wouldn't be surprised to see a move back up to $9 or $10 to be looking for that monthly lower high. All depends on the sector heading into the fall. Keeping in mind that while we're looking for monthly higher lows on a lot of these names, we're also looking for monthly lower highs and equilibriums on a lot of these names as well. So that is a factor where I'm not expecting all-time highs this fall unless we get significant catalyst in the USMJ space. And if we don't get that significant catalyst, whether it's rescheduling or something along those lines, then monthly equilibriums will be the most likely scenario in my opinion. So I appreciate you watching. My throat hurts. That's all we got tomorrow. Again, we're not cutting these bulls any slack. Give us a green day on increasing bull volume, and you'll prove to us that you're for real. Give us a green day on declining bull volume. We'll take it. Give us a red day, and you're back in the doghouse. Thanks again. Do good things. We'll see you tomorrow. So garden update, we went through another big pile of wood slabs to make some raised beds. We'll head down there in a minute. One of my buddies made a sweet little bench out of some of the big slabs. We've got a little bird living in here, so whenever we're sitting on the porch in the evening and it wants to go to bed, it starts yelling at us and we have to leave, so it finds its little nest in there. So dug out some of the bed here to make a pathway for the cart and for people, and we'll have, once everything's fenced in here, probably next spring, we'll have a gate here and some kind of archway to trellis stuff up. There's a big patch here where the grass was killed from the mulch, so I'm going to plant a bunch of bulbs. I've never really planted bulbs as far as tulips and daffodils and all that. So we're going to have a goal of a ton of pollinators for next year, as there's a bunch of, well, planning on getting some bees, but there's a bunch more monarch butterflies around than I had anticipated, so going to get them some plants and such. Ended up covering all the old beds with cardboard as the manure was starting to sprout seeds, so I didn't feel like dealing with that, so just smothering that out for the time being. These are all the new raised beds. Big shout out to one of the Chart Guys members, Joshua, who lives an hour away, and he came out and was an absolute workhorse helping put these together. Got all the pathways, mulch, got some extra firewood and scrap, lining the driveway with all this extra wood, number one, because I don't want to move it, and number two, hoping to put a line of sunflowers along the driveway next spring, and this will stamp out the grass and allow for that soil to get nice and ready for some sunflowers.